Okay, so thank you, Dobrý den. Sorry that I don't speak Česky, so I hope you will understand. So good morning. Thank you so much for listening to what I'm going to show you now. I'd like to very much appreciate the invitation from Jaroslav, from the Nadace Vodafone Česká republika, of course, very close partners of ours. They're in Spain and hopefully very close partners here in the Czech Republic soon. I'd like to also thank the interpreters for the effort they are doing in trying to make sense of what I'm going to say, right? So I'm going to show you some of the applications, some of the solutions that we've developed from one of the companies I work for within the ONCE Foundation. I'm going to give a very brief introduction of the organization I work for. They're in Spain. So I belong to a company, I work for a company that's within ONCE, that's the Blind People, Spanish Blind People Organization, which is the only blind people organization in Spain with 70,000 members. And it's funded through its own lottery since 1938, when it was created. And it provides services to every single blind and legally visually impaired person in Spain and their families throughout their whole life. So that means schools, so that means primary education, secondary, higher education, employment, rehabilitation, of course, but then sports activities, leisure, travel, everything. So the work the ONCE has been doing for these 76 years now is just great. It's pretty unique worldwide. It's a reference in this respect. This model proved to be very, very successful, and in 1988, through an agreement with the Spanish government, they said, okay, why not transfer this model that's been so successful through the lottery? It's their own lottery, and it's providing all these services to blind people and visually impaired people in Spain. Why not do something that can also help other disabilities? Transfer this model, successful model, to other disabilities. So the ONCE Foundation was created in 1988 as a means of working with the rest of disabilities in Spain in two specific areas to promote the social inclusion of persons with disabilities in general through employment and training and promoting universal accessibility. So those are the two main objectives or missions of the ONCE Foundation in Spain. So ONCE Foundation gives some money, 3% of the total of the gross lottery sales to ONCE yearly. That amounts to 140 million euros, more or less, per year, to carry out projects, employment and universal accessibility. In terms of employment, those figures you can see there, 80,000 jobs, well, it's currently more, it's more than 100,000 jobs that have been created for persons with disabilities, 150,000 training sessions in 25 years, and we're talking about more than almost 34,000 projects in those fields, universal accessibility and projects, and, and employment. Worth more than 2 billion, 2 billion is 2,000 million euros. Okay, so they're really big figures, and this has made a change, a real big change in Spain. It's important to mention that in the board of trustees of the ONCE Foundation, there's representatives of the main disability organizations in Spain. So it's like an umbrella organization through which the funds are channeled to other disabilities than blindness, so they can benefit and they can present projects, universal accessibility and employment and training, From these organizations, they present it to the foundation and they ask for money, for funds, for this kind of project. So the money goes down to the other disabilities as well. So at the same time, we have a unified voice from all disability organizations. They are represented in this organization. So when talking with the government, talking to institutions, talking to the European Commission, it's a unified voice and a very strong voice. So we're talking about 3.8 million people with disabilities in Spain, plus their families and their environment around them. So we're talking about a really, really large community. We're talking about maybe 10 million people in Spain. That's a lot of people, that's a lot of opinions, and that's a lot of votes in elections. And of course, a lot of consumers, so it's a really, really relevant community. So the government is going to hear to what they have to say. They can mobilize a lot of people. So this is really important. And I think it's a model that, that's worked there in Spain and should be something to be stimulated, getting together all the disability organizations in every country. I think that's the basis of the success of what's been done there. Okay, and also to mention, it's important that within the ONCE Foundation, there's a, let's say, a human resources, or even more so, a headhunting division that works on the employment side. So they have a database of 200,000 candidates with all their information, seeking for jobs, all of them with disabilities. And they talk with companies, and this division puts together the candidates and the companies, identifying jobs that can be carried out by any professional, but in particular by persons with different disabilities. They put them together, okay? They do all the interviews, they do all the assessment, orientation, training, everything. Put them together, they do the interviews, they sign a contract. If it's okay for both sides, the conditions are okay. And there you go. All this for free. For free because the ONCE Foundation, to do that, receives funds not only from ONCE, but also from the European Commission. Okay? Commissioned by the Spanish government. Say, hey, you do this. You receive funds. I give you funds from the European Commission, from the European Social Fund, and you do this task. This is a social service task. Even though these are non-profit organizations, they handle a lot of money, but they are non-profit. So in order to create jobs for persons with disabilities, ONCE Foundation not only talks with companies outside the group, but it has its own business group, okay, with more or less like 70 companies, 50 business lines in different industries, different sectors, making more than 800 million euros revenue per year. But all the revenue, all the positive results go back to the ONCE Foundation for the employment, training, and universal accessibility projects, okay? And it's 31,000 employees that we are there within the business group, and 10,000 of them are persons with disabilities, okay? So this model basically works. It's sustainable. It's sustainable because it generates revenue and it generates a lot of jobs for persons with disabilities and high quality services. So some of the companies within the group are leaders in their industries in Spain and globally. So when talking about universal accessibility, we're working on two sides. The more physical, built environment, urban areas, product design, more physical, and then ICT accessibility. And the company I work for actually covers both sides, okay? So when we deal with analyzing what has to be made accessible, first of all, we ask ourselves why, who's going to benefit from it, where is it happening, what are the barriers, of course, and how can we resolve, if we focus on ICT, technologies, how can we use ICT in order to generate or to create something that can benefit persons with disabilities or with special needs, but in general, everyone. It's usable, it makes things easier for everyone. Okay, so what we do is, in a certain context, we analyze the whole cycle when we do something in everyday life, for example, traveling. So we analyze the whole journey cycle from when you decide that you want to go wherever, by train, by airplane, whatever, until you get there and back home. We analyze the whole accessibility chain. We do an assessment, all the steps that a person goes through, okay, when doing that kind of thing. And we see what barriers, we analyze what kind of barriers people with different disabilities, blind, motor impairment, hearing, cognitive, elder people, people that don't speak the language. I have a disability right now because I don't speak and I don't understand Czechsky. So I'm disabled here in this respect, okay? So what are the barriers, okay? And we come up with certain solutions. For example, a different situation. Like if I go to a pharmacy to buy medicine, I need to take, and I'm blind. Okay, so how can I read the paper, the patient leaflet, it's inside the box? How can a person with low dexterity, low mobility in his hands or her hands, how can he or she take out the paper and then fold the paper and read it? If I use glasses and I've forgotten my glasses, how can I read the paper? Because it's normally very, very small print, okay? So we've designed an application, okay, that is this one. I hope it's going to work. That actually resolves this kind of thing, or helps, at least helps, everyone, not only blind, not only a person with motor impairments. It's not that one, because that's blue. It's something that's going to come up now, hopefully. Come on. There you go. Okay. That helps me to find the information that it's inaccessible on the paper. Okay. So I can either scan the code, the barcode on the box, or I can type in the application. I can type the name of the medicine. Okay. So I'm going to type it. Okay. Because I don't have the I don't have a medicine box, but if I look for this medicine, for example, which is really good for flu, okay. Okay, and there I go. Okay, I get all the different presentations, capsules or powder. So if I go to capsules, okay, I'm going to have all the information needed. Okay, different sections, so I can browse through it very easily, okay? Possible adverse effects, and you get all the typical ones, or typical in this case, of course, okay? But this information is critical. Of course, if I don't know whether this medicine is dangerous for me, how can I know if I have to take it? Or how can I take it, right? How shall I use it? When? Okay, the posology, okay? This is very, very important information. So this project has been developed together with the Vodafone Foundation in Spain, okay? Together, TechnoSite, the company I work for, or ILUNION Accessibility Projects and Services, that's the new name. We've developed together this project, and what it does is the app accesses a database with all the medicine information, all the medicine that's sold in Spain. Okay, so this database, this application taps on that database. If we have a database, similar database here in the Czech Republic, we can do exactly the same. And there's some other functions here. I can add my medicines, the medicines that I normally take. I can store them here, so I can have and I can access that kind of information very promptly and very easily. And normally this would work, but it doesn't work for some reason here because we are indoors or something. that I can find the closest pharmacist to where I am, okay? So if I need to take need to buy medicine, I can tap here and I can find in the Google Maps where the closest is and how to get there. And this is all fully accessible, okay? So if I activated the voiceover, the screen reader that's here, I'm not going to do it now, but if I activate it, you'll see that you can navigate through the application very, very easily. All right? I'm going to go back to the projector, the presentation. Some other solutions that we've developed with Vodafone Foundation, of course. Amobile is a project that's a website that tells you about information, accessibility information about all the mobile devices, okay, mobile devices, tablets, and smartphones that are sold in Spain, and they get assessed not only formally in technical terms, but also from user perspectives by users with different kinds of disabilities, and they're going to rate how accessible and is that device, and who is going to benefit more, okay? Who's that device is more adequate for what kind of users. And this is a large project we finished developing last year. It's a European Union funded project. It's about making ATMs accessible, much more accessible. And I'm going to show you a quick video here. Okay, let's see if it works. Okay, it's called Accessible Personalized Services. Okay, easy access to banking and transport. Technosite is the format name. So we work in accessibility in Europe, and we've been working with La Caixa, which is the third largest banking institution in Spain, to create this application. I'm almost reading what's on screen, okay? We've reduced some of the typical barriers that you find in ATMs, not only from the physical point of view, but also from the ICT point of view. It's a solution, okay? So in the ATM, you're going to have, I'm going to just stop it so you can see a bit more detail. Okay, the ATM is at a lower height from the ground for a person on a wheelchair to be more accessible. There's a broader dashboard, larger buttons there. Okay, you can have those arrows also to navigate through the screen. You'll see later. You have that black thing there on the left. That's an NFC reader. So I go with my card, and I don't need to put the card into the slot. Maybe I have low dexterity, low mobility, so that's more difficult for me. So I just can swipe, okay, through the reader, and it gets connected. I just have to type in my PIN code, of course, that's by law. Okay, and I go into the system. And what happens when I go into the system? Okay, you're going to see now. If I'm a client of the bank, I go into the system, and I upload all my needs and preferences through this wizard here that's within the bank system, okay? So I log in as a bank client into my electronic banking, and I'm going to have that section. That's a wizard. I go through it, and I upload my user profile. I am blind, I have low dexterity, I am visually impaired, I am deaf, I have cognitive disabilities, whatever. You have like all those different profiles, and you're going to have, and you go into those, you're going to have the full detail of different possibilities, the different options, okay? So that information gets securely stored into the bank system, okay, with all the privacy, legally compliant conditions, everything, okay? So I get the card, in this case it's a Visa card, from the PIN and chip, okay, so I do that. Okay, I just type in my PIN code, and I can access the screen, but the screen is going to configure automatically to whatever needs and preferences I introduce through that wizard. So if, for example, I'm a sign language user, okay, I'm going to get an avatar. That's what I'm going to get. That has all the operations that you can have on the ATM pre-recorded, okay, so I can interact with it. It's going to help me because I'm a sign language user. Okay? If I have, for example, low vision, okay, I may want to have larger print, but also high contrast, okay? I can wish to change the language as well. We have 3 languages, Spanish, English, and Catalan, in this case, because La Caixa is from Barcelona. If I'm blind, the screen reader is going to get activated. I'm going to be able to plug in my earpiece, okay, and I'm going to be able to interact with the ATM through that screen reader. Okay, so everything is guided through the voice as well. I may want to use the arrows, for example. Well, it's the sign language we're seeing now, right now. Or I may want easy text, because I'm not familiar with technologies, or maybe some other reason, due to some developmental disability, whatever. I may want a simplified version of the operations on the ATM, and still be able to use it. Okay, so this makes the ATM much more accessible, and we're seeing now some people that have been interviewed, their opinions among the ATMs I've seen and used. This is the most accessible, setting standards, keeping in mind that the needs of people with disabilities are fundamental, may help to break down those barriers that prevent people with disabilities from fully exercising their rights, as well as integrating these groups. Mission accomplished. I've managed to get money on my own. This is a blind colleague. Okay, so this project is focused on personalization, automated personalization of this device and of any device, any public digital terminal. Okay, so this same technology was implemented in Germany for ticket vending machines in a bus station in the city of Paderborn. And it can be applied to any public digital terminal. So we go to the airport and we have the automated check-in machines with the screen. So if my code, okay, my flight code is associated to my profile, that I've uploaded it somewhere in the airline system or in the reservation system securely, it's going to associate it to my profile, and then I'm going to get the screen or the interface adapted and personalized to what I need. Okay, so this can be applied to any kind of device, any kind of public digital terminal. And this is already running in more than 3,000 ATMs in Spain. So it's about assessing the kind of technology the ATM is using, okay, and the kind of interface that it uses, not only the software, but also the device itself. And it benefits, as you can see here, not only low vision, hard of hearing, dexterity, low motor impairments, but also cognitive, LDP people that have low ICT literacy. Not necessarily I need to know how to use an ATM, maybe I'm not familiar, so this helps you. Okay, reading difficulties, temporary disabled for whatever reason, non-native speakers, maybe I've left my glasses at home, and so forth. And this is another app that we've developed for the Spanish fast train manufacturer, Talgo, that benefits all passengers. This is an onboard app. Okay, I'm going to show you very, very briefly. I'm going to put as background. It's time. Okay, so I'm going to just jump ahead so you can see a bit of what the app is about, and I'm going to finish right now. So we have all sorts of situations within the train. I need to go to the toilet. I need to go to the restaurant. But if I'm blind, how do I know whether the toilet is occupied or not? If I'm going on a wheelchair, I have whatever needs, and I need to go to the accessible toilet, I'd like to know beforehand whether it's being used or not. Okay, so I can have that kind of information. I may want to receive the announcements through the audio system. If I'm deaf or I'm hard of hearing or something, I'm going to need an alternative to receive them. I can receive them here on my mobile phone. And of course I can configure everything. I can send messages, alerts to the crew. I can change all the settings, as you can see, high contrast, larger font, everything. But basically what this does is it helps all users, all passengers, not only persons with disabilities, for which this might be something really important, critical, but in general to all users. So this is something that really makes the travel much more comfortable, because you have access to all the information and access to all kinds of communication with the crew, everything on your phone. Okay, so this is basically what I wanted to show you. Okay, so thank you very much. Děkuji za pozornost. Okay, and I'm open for questions. Thank you.
Tak musím přiznat, že nadace Vodafone nám vybrala skvělého řečníka. Myslím, že každý z nás tady našel něco, co by si přál, aby se u nás zavedlo. Takže jsme sice s časem přetáhli, ono už jsme nedodrželi přestávku, ale nicméně aspoň ze 2 dotazy.
Thanks about your show, because your project is more and more huge than in our country, I think. And this is a good inspiration. But I have questions about beginning. How is your financial, how you can find money for all this project? I understand each other project with cooperation with Nadace Vodafone or other, but on the beginning, what's from lottery your financial? I don't understand, what is it?
That's a good question. Okay. In some occasions, the project is funded through European Union funds. Research and development. For example, the ATM project, Access for All. This one here was Access for All, was funded through the European Commission, through a program called the CIP, Competitiveness and Innovation Program. That's the later stages of research. So there's basic research, and then the last stage of R&D is innovation. This was within this program, okay? It was focused on generating products, results that could be taken to the market, okay? So we led this project and we developed this solution, and this can be taken to the market. This can be implemented, installed, and scaled in any ATM that is running certain, is meeting certain specifics, okay? Regarding the screen and regarding the interface, okay? So we get money from there. The ONF Foundation also provides some of the funding to support these programs. And in other occasions, like for example, together with the Vodafone Foundation in Spain, we seek funds together, or we put funds together, the Vodafone Foundation Spain, ONF Foundation Spain, and maybe some other partners, okay? In other times, it's just the clients that commission something to us and say, hey, I would like to develop this application that's going to help this community, the other one. So we suggest how to do it, okay? And we say it's going to cost this, and they say, okay, let's go for it, because it's something that it's going to benefit a whole community. If they're thinking that it's something to benefit, for example, the blind, we suggest them that it benefits many more people, not only the blind, okay? But it's clients that may ask us to actually develop this, okay? So really large projects require large funding, and in this case, the European Commission, okay, that has really huge programs right now. Currently, it's called Horizon 2020, okay, that's funding the traditional R&D. But now it has, Horizon 2020 has a very, very strong focus on products and very, very little on basic research, okay? That was how it used to be. Now it's products, things, they want things that can be taken to the market, that the time to market time frame is shorter and shorter, okay? So they invite many different players, many different stakeholders in this respect that can get together and can implement things that can be scaled throughout Europe. Okay, so there's a big opportunity there.
Ano? Prosím, tady.
Is it also the clients like the banks or the train company that
yes.
that pay for implementation
yes.
of the product?
Mm-hmm. I mean, in the case of the train manufacturing company, Talgo, it's them that's contracted us to develop this app together with them, because they know all the needs and they know all the information and all the information systems they have in place. All the telecoms systems they have in the planes, in the rolling stock inside the train. So he said, hey, let's build an app together that can benefit our passengers anywhere in the world. So they are, right now they're going to tenders all over the world for fast train rail lines, and they include this app in their offering, okay? So yeah, in this case it was Talgo directly that contracted us to do this.
Můžeme.
Já se omlouvám, tady byl taky dotaz. Můžu tady?
Tak prosím.
Dobrý den, Dana Čukalová, Praha. Máme zbytky zraku, zbytky sluchu, takže prakticky hluchoslepá. 50% už tady bylo zodpovězeno, ale zeptám se, jak vyhledáváte postižené nebo handicapované osoby, protože v České republice opravdu je málo informací, třeba úřady nedávají informace postiženým, teda handicapovaným, a ani lékaři neuvádějí přesná fakta v procentech. Prosila bych vědět, jak to děláte vy. A druhá jako otázka k tomu financování, jak se k tomu u vás staví banky. Děkuji a přeji hezký den.
Okay. Right, so thank you for your question. It's very interesting and it's critical. As mentioned before, the ONTHE Foundation is an umbrella organization. Okay, so it has representatives of the largest disabled people organizations in Spain. So that's really the way of reaching out to users and their families is done through this structure, okay? All the organizations are together in their local associations, the local associations in turn are together in the regional associations and together in the nationwide associations. Blind, in this case there's only one. Deaf, there's two in Spain, the sign language users and the ones that don't use the sign language, but then spinal cord injury, brain injury, Down syndrome, there's two really large ones, mental health, etc. But they are all represented there, okay? So the way to reach out to them, to the individual, to gain the capillarity, okay, so they can reach out to the individual and their families, is through the local organizations. So fortunately in Spain, for many years, the associative movement has got stronger and stronger because all the organizations had understood that getting together to become a single and unified voice is the best way of achieving results. So in this case, obviously, yeah, that's the foundation that provides funds. And that's a good reason to join, of course. But it's not only about funds. It's also about being able to benefit from programs, from projects, getting the information, participating in the development of this kind of solutions. Because we analyze, first of all, how do we want to address what the solution is going to like, what are the barriers, and we go to the blind people, but we go to the deaf people as well, and we go to the low mobility people, to the brain damage, and we have people that do all the user testing and the user assessment on the train, on the ATM, etc. So we reach out to organizations at a local level, okay, so they can participate in doing this. And in terms of funding, again, what we were saying a few minutes ago, it has to be through large funders like the train manufacturer, that makes a lot of money, obviously, because it's a huge company in Spain, or the European Commission, or the Spanish government in this case, or large banks. So large banks have a lot of money, and they want to retain. They want to retain their clients. Okay. Many of them are becoming older, we all become old, so they want us to stay with them, of course, with our savings in their bank account. So they do want to make their services, the services that we use as their customers, they want to make them accessible. Because otherwise I'm going to go to a different bank that's going to offer me better services. Okay? So through all the different channels that they offer services through, the offices, of course, they need to be accessible. The people we talk to in the offices need to know how to talk and interface with persons with different disabilities, blind or deaf or hard of hearing, elder people. They need to implement, for example, in the offices, they need to put in place induction loops, okay? So that people that are wearing an earpiece, okay, a device, may have all the noise in the place reduced, okay? So they can hear what the person on the counter is telling them, okay? Same thing with the online channel. Same thing with the telephone channel. Everything, okay? Everything has to be made more accessible and easier for all their customers to use, okay? So they can generate more revenue from us, basically, because we're going to hire more services and we're going to hire pension scheme and we're going to hire insurance and everything from them. So they wanna keep us with them, okay? So that's the main idea, and they do want to do this kind of thing. However, what's the problem? That technically there's very, very little knowledge on how to do this, okay? How to really implement this and scale this throughout the whole network of offices, of ATMs, and so forth. But they do want to do this, and they do want to say through their social corporate responsibility policies and so forth, that they're doing this. But it's not corporate social responsibility, it's about business. It's about making more business and keeping their clients with them. That's basically what it happens.
Já mám bohužel takovou nepříjemnou roli, že musím hlídat taky čas. Takže nedá se nic dělat. Musím poděkovat panu Garciovi za jeho velmi zajímavou přednášku a vás upozorním na to, že pro nás zpracoval do sborníku dosti podrobný příspěvek, takže doporučuji, abyste si přečetli to, co napsal do sborníku, a taky se podívali na jejich webové stránky, kde se dozvíte o dalších projektech, o kterých třeba ani se tady nezmiňovala. Takže moc děkujeme.